A warm welcome to you on the Gavel. I'm Terry Ikumi.
The Gender Equality Bill has lingered in National Assembly for years. Senator Biodun Olujimi introduced the bill in 2016 during the 8th Assembly, but the bill was thrown out as some of the senators at that time argued that it would offend the sensibilities of religious adherents in the country. On Wednesday, December 15, the proposed legislation was once again before senators in the 9th Assembly, but its future is still uncertain. The Gender Equality Bill seeks to eliminate all forms of discrimination against women and guarantees equal opportunity, development and advancement of all Nigerian citizens, irrespective of gender. It seeks to promote the access of girls to education, freedom for women to participate in any economic activity, and their right to freedom from sexual abuse and violence in the public and domestic spaces.
This bill, when enacted, will assist in dislodging some of the barriers to women's equal access to all forms of financial credit, technical assistance, family benefits, and other aspects of cultural life. The bill will also consolidate government and community protection and zero tolerance for violence in any circumstance, while promoting peace and harmony in homes where all its members are guaranteed equal access and treatment against discrimination, all forms of sexual and gender-based violations, as they seek to access education and decent life conditions.
However, two federal lawmakers argue that the bill mentions equality between women and men, which is against religious beliefs.
As Muslims, socio-cultural practice is the practice of our religion. And therefore, this aspect of it, by equating opportunities, actually infringes with the provisions of the Quran, of which I am a Muslim, and also the Bible. So I will not support the passage of this unless until the word equal is removed. If we now have debate on the gender opportunities bill, fine. But when you bring equality into it, it infringes into the practice of Islamic religion.
But some senators are in favor of the bill.
For me, women are not only entitled to equal opportunities, it's not equality, but equal opportunities, but must be in fact and in practice. Moreover, being a woman is not being less human. Neither is femininity inferiority.
My colleague that argued on the issue of equal, the use of the word equal to be removed, I don't think that gives a problem. If we want to look into the definition of the word equal, it's a person or thing that is the same as another in status or quality. If God created us equal, there is nothing wrong with the use of that word.
I want to plead, Mr. President, that this bill not be killed here. It should be allowed to go for public hearing, so that whatever concerns that Senator Olujimi and others were not able to address in the course of their consultation could be addressed in the course of that public hearing.
The survival of the bill is placed in the hands of a Senate President.
As parliamentarians, if I have a bill, if someone says he doesn't understand it, there's nothing wrong in talking to that person. So what I'm suggesting is it's not engagement for 6 months. You want this thing to go for second reading, just like suggested by Senator John's manager. Okay, it goes for second reading. But instead of waiting until it goes to public hearing before you talk with your senators' colleagues, you need to make everyone understands, and if possible, everyone queues behind it.
The sponsor of the bill makes a concession, but it is not enough to sway her colleagues to pass the proposed legislation through second reading.
If the problem is the title, Equal Opportunities, that they do not want, then we can change the title and make it Gender Equity Bill. Gender Equity Bill, rather than the Gender and Equal Opportunities Bill, which is offensive to them.
we know that every bill, before it goes to public hearing, we will have the draft bill available. We do not have the draft bill before us. I don't want just to change the title only to conflict with the body.
Sensing that the bill may suffer yet another defeat on the floor, Senator Olujimi reluctantly gives in.
I believe the way to go is to step it down and see if we can convince the 2 or 3 people who are against certain aspects.
Senator Olujimi will now have to hold another round of discussions with her colleagues who have reservations about the gender equality bill.
Those against me say nay.
Meanwhile, the House of Representatives has passed through second reading a bill to enlarge the jurisdiction of the Sharia court. Sharia is an Islamic law based on the teachings of the Quran and the traditions of the Prophet. A Sharia court of appeal exercises appellate and supervisory jurisdiction in civil proceedings involving questions of Islamic law and is practiced in northern Nigeria. During Wednesday's plenary session, lawmakers in the House of Representatives were presented with a bill seeking to alter the constitution and enlarge the jurisdiction of the Sharia courts of appeal.
This bill proposes to expand the jurisdiction of Sharia court to try criminal matters as one of the most viable solutions to reducing the prevalent crimes rate in especially the north. The bill seeks to expand the jurisdiction of Sharia court of appeal to try criminal matters, address and reduce the high prevailing crime rate in the society, especially where the Sharia courts apply. Clause 3 alters Section 277 of the Principal Act that both restricted the jurisdiction of Sharia court of appeal to Islamic law of personal status only. Clause 4 provides citation of the bill.
However, one lawmaker was concerned that the details of such an important bill was not made available to allow members decide on whether or not to support it.
Mr. Speaker, I'm saying that I don't know if I'm supporting it or if I'm against it because I don't have the details. Because when you get into such a subject, Mr. Speaker, you want to enlarge the jurisdiction of Sharia court, given the kind of practice we have in Nigeria. One needs to actually look at where he wants to enlarge or expand it to before it can even be passed, because we have to be very, very careful in the things we pass here.
The Speaker admits that the details should have been provided, but goes ahead to put the matter to vote.
Honorable Salame and anybody else, it's important, Honorable Linda's observation, that for us to contribute meaningfully to a debate, even on general principles, it's good to have the details, even on the general principles. So I'll just put the question. Those in support, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. Ayes have it.
The next stop for the bill is the desk of the Committee on Constitutional Amendment, headed by the Deputy Speaker.
The National Assembly has amended the Electoral Act Amendment Bill, which seeks to improve the electoral system, including the process of voting, collation and announcement of results, and generally bring about significant changes to give confidence to citizens that their votes will count and their participation in governance improved. Parliament sent the bill to President Buhari on the 19th of November for assent. The deadline, according to the Constitution, for the President to give his assent to the bill or withhold it and communicate his reason for doing so is just around the corner, precisely on December the 19th. Now, several civil society organizations have been calling on the President to sign the bill. In this report, we take a brief look at the journey of this critical bill in the 9th Assembly until its passage.
At the inception of the 9th Assembly, the Senate and House of Representatives promised to amend the country's electoral laws. There was a previous attempt by the 8th Assembly to amend the Electoral Act before the 2019 general elections. However, President Buhari refused to sign the bill into law on the premise that it is close to the 2019 general elections. Many Nigerians have yearned for the passage of this critical bill, hoping that it can sanitize Nigeria's electoral system, persistently plagued by violence, ballot box snatching, underage voting and cash for votes. The Senate and the House committees on INEC began working on the legislation, requesting input from organizations and individuals on the bill. On July 15, the National Assembly passed the Electoral Act Amendment Bill on the final day of plenary before it proceeded on its annual recess. The Senate amended Clause 52, which gives INEC the discretion to introduce electronic voting as may be practicable.
The Commission may consider electronic transmission of results provided the national coverage is adjudged to be adequate and secure by the National Communication Commission (NCC) and approved by the National Assembly.
This amendment sharply split lawmakers, and the minority leader called for a division, the first in the Ninth Assembly.
I still insist, we want Nigerians to know who has voted or not.
The votes were cast, counted, and the majority voted to amend Clause 52 by empowering the NCC to determine the use of electronic means to transmit election results.
28 voted yes, those that supported the amendment. 52 senators voted no, they don't want the amendment. 28 of our colleagues, senators, are absent in different parts of the country doing some jobs for the Senate and the National Assembly. Nobody abstained.
In the House of Representatives, the amendment of the Electoral Act caused a rowdy session also over Clause 52. However, the lower chamber finally amended Clause 52, empowering INEC to decide on the best means to transmit election results. But 3 months later, on October 12th, the Senate made a U-turn and gave INEC free rein to determine the procedure of transmission of results during elections. The Senate also re-amended Clause 87, prescribing direct primaries for political parties. On November 9, 2021, the National Assembly passed the harmonized version of the Electoral Act Amendment Bill, empowering INEC to determine the procedure for voting and transmission of results during elections. It also approved direct primaries for aspirants to all elective positions. But the adoption of direct primaries by the National Assembly is conflicting with the interest of governors in the ruling APC who favor indirect primaries. Nevertheless, the adoption of the conference report marks the completion of the amendment of Electoral Act Bill in the 9th National Assembly. The bill was transmitted to President Buhari on November 19th, and he has 30 days to either give his assent to the bill or inform the National Assembly of his decision to withhold his assent and explain the reasons for doing so. President Buhari has been consulting with various individuals and organizations on the bill in the last few weeks. He has written to electoral body INEC to get its opinion on the matter of direct primaries, which appears to be the most contentious issue about the proposed legislation. Civil society groups have been calling on President Buhari to give his assent to the bill. In a statement issued by Executive Director Clement Nwankwo, Plaque stated that the bill was a product of nearly 3 years of work. According to Plaque, the bill went through the entire gamut of legislative processes. Plaque noted that while there may be interest with different views about the electoral bill, it was important to point out that these interests have the opportunity to make their input during the legislative process, especially at the call for memoranda and a public hearing. The 30 days deadline is on Sunday, December 19th, and all eyes are on the President to see what his decision will be as regards giving his assent to the Electoral Act Amendment Bill.
The National Assembly will soon go on holiday for the Christmas and New Year celebrations. The Senate and House of Representatives have set a target of passing the 2022 national budget by the end of this year, which is just days away. And both houses are sitting on Tuesday, December 21st. We're not sure if that will be the final day of sitting for the year, but we do expect that the budget will be passed next week.
The Senate has shifted the date of the passage of the 2022 budget until next Tuesday, December the 21st. Senate President Ahmed Lawan announced this during Wednesday's plenary session. The upper chamber has said it will pass the 2022 budget on Wednesday, December the 15th. But it appears the delay in capturing the financial requirements of the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) and the National Population Commission (NPC) in the 2022 budget may be responsible for the failure of the Senate to pass the budget on Wednesday. Speaking in an interview with journalists on Wednesday, the chairman, Senate Committee on Appropriations, Senator Jibrin Barau, says the commission has met with officials from INEC and NPC to discuss the problem of insufficient funds in the budgets of the government agencies.
We had a very robust and frank interaction with INEC and National Population Commission. It's in respect of the complaints we've had from different quarters about the inefficiency of funds that have been provided for them in the 2022 appropriation bill. And because of the stance of the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, that these two institutions need to be properly catered for in terms of their funding. We all know the importance of election in this country, and indeed the entire world. It is the foundation of every democracy. To tell you that whether it's going to be passed this week or not, but we are still working on it. You can make your calculations, all right? But I don't have the authority. The Senate President will be the one to tell you so. I'm not the one to tell you that.
Meanwhile, the Senate has approved President Buhari's request to borrow the sum of $5.8 billion and a grant component of $10 million under the 2018-2022 External Borrowing Plan. The approval follows the consideration of a report by its Committee on Local and Foreign Debts. In his presentation on Wednesday's plenary session, the chairman of the committee, Senator Clifford Odia, says the sum of $2.3 billion will be sourced from the World Bank, $2.3 billion from the German consortium, and $90 million from the Islamic Development Bank. The sum of $786.3 million is to be sourced from the China Exim Bank, $276.9 million from the Bank of China, and $50 million from the International Fund for Agricultural Development. However, the committee in the report acknowledged the fears of Nigerians as regards the volume of loans taken by the federal government.
The committee knows that debt service figures constitute a huge drain on our revenue, thereby limiting resources available for national development projects and human capital development. The committee continues to reiterate its stance on the need for a more proactive and broad-based approach to revenue enhancement related issues because our revenue to debt ratio and tax revenue ratio are way behind acceptable levels.
Lawmakers sought clarification on some areas in the loan request and questioned the committee chairman on how much loans have been taken so far by the federal government. The governors of Kano and Katsina states, as well as the Northwest Caucus in the National Assembly, are calling on the military to intensify the fight against bandits operating in the region. This is in the light of fierce attacks and killings by bandits in the Northwest, particularly the killing of travelers on December the 7th by bandits in Sokoto State. The governors put forward this position during the meeting with the Northwest Caucus of the National Assembly on Wednesday night. During the meeting, Kano State Governor Abdullahi Ganduje is calling on the military to recover the forest from the bandits through the deployment of technology. Former Sokoto State Governor and serving Senator Aliyu Wamako wants the military to intensively bombard the bandits' camp and not only repel them when they attack.
We must have data. Anything you do without the data, we are just wasting that time. We have to do use technology. We tried it in Falgore Forest. Falgore Forest, one of the biggest forests in Nigeria. But today in Kano State, even if a bird is flying in Falgore Forest, we see it.
We have no alternative. We have to conquer our environment in order to survive in it. Of course. So for us, it has become a must. Delaying it is what we should not do.
The approach should be modified. Because I kept saying, our business approach we are doing to security matter cannot solve the problem. We fight today, we wait for 3 months, we fight next month, and also we all start to repel. We cannot win by merely repelling. After one offensive.
Now let's take a look at some key happenings in the House of Representatives during the week. The House of Representatives Committee on Healthcare Services is to investigate the non-functionality of national primary healthcare centers in the country.
What this government has done and what the previous government has done in the water sector,
basic
I
healthcare
think
services, essential drugs and infrastructure. and are located in unhygienic environments. The House is worried that the failure of the primary healthcare development program portends danger to the lives of citizens who cannot afford costly treatments. Representative Sergius Ogun, who raised the motion, expressed worry that despite the huge resources invested into the scheme by the federal government, the program has failed to achieve the desired objectives.
The House is concerned that despite the revitalization program, only less than 20% of the 30,000 primary healthcare centers in the country are in good working condition, while others are either completely grounded or ineffective in the delivery of primary healthcare services. It has also concerned that most of the primary healthcare centers lack basic healthcare services, essential drugs and services, and infrastructure, and are located in unhygienic environments.
The Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, Idris Wase, is accusing the Nigeria Police Force of complicity in the fight against insecurity, while moving a motion on the urgent need to immediately halt the wanton killings and kidnappings by bandits in Wase Federal Constituency of Plateau State and other communities in neighboring states. Mr. Wase stated that bandits arrested by vigilante groups and handed to the police are subsequently released without prosecution. The Deputy Speaker says the situation is also same in Kaduna, and some officers who insist on doing the right thing are punished.
There is a case in point that one of my nephews who is working in Kaduna that was taken by bandits to far away Binungwari. The combined forces of the Air Force went there and rescued him. They were able to arrest. Among the people that did that dastardly act was a member of his own house help. Mr. Speaker, I'm telling you for free. The police released all those who were found that were arrested in that. In Kaduna, of 2 police officers trending on our own who were dismissed because they came here to Nasarawa and arrested armed robbers. They were offered 8 million naira to release. They refused by their colleagues. The vehicles were recovered, and because of that act, again, Mr. Speaker, I am telling you, these 2 officers have been dismissed from service.
On the final plenary of the week in the lower chamber, lawmakers from Osun State raised 2 separate motions expressing concern over illegal liquefied petroleum gas stations across the country and the rising costs.
Prevalence of this illegal marketer of liquefied petroleum gas, cooking gas, on the street is a critical threat to lives and properties of the citizens.
The hike in the price of the product was blamed by marketers on the recently introduced import charges and value-added tax VAT by the federal government, whereas in other countries, the government actively protects and cushions the impact of rising gas price on vulnerable citizens.
The House mandated the Committee on Gas Resources to liaise with the Minister of State for Petroleum Resources to proffer a lasting solution to the increase in the price of cooking gas, as well as ensure compliance to removal of illegal LPG stations. Meanwhile, the House also considered a motion on the urgent need to evacuate grounded aircraft from the nation's airports and review of parking fees.
Concerned that a large number of abandoned, non-functional aircraft littering airports across the country gives an impression that Nigeria is a dumping ground for old airplanes. Also cognizant that the space occupied by the abandoned aircrafts could generate revenue for the aviation agency via parking fees and hangar maintenance.
The House mandated its Committee on Aviation to ensure compliance and report back within 3 weeks for further legislative action. Well, that's the Gavel this week. Thanks for watching. I'm Terry Ikumi. Goodbye.